All right, we go down to the head coach of the women's basketball team at the University of Arkansas. Coach Mike Neighbors is with us now on the Williams Tractor Hotline. Coach, how you doing?
Happy Friday, boys. Doing great.
Good, good. How are things going there?
Man, couldn't be much better. I got a 2-month-old sleeping 8.5 hours a night for the last week straight, so I am not complaining.
You're living the
living
life.
the life.
That's it. That's big time.
And as a consequence, you finally got to finish Ozark.
Correct. I went from season or episode 1 to done in a week, man, just because I knew you were going to ask me about it.
That's right. I told you I'd dunk you like a Salem witch if you didn't on Friday.
That set me up straight on my haunches and got me motivated.
Yeah.
I did not want to go to that with you.
Well, you are you must know about the spoiler loophole because Zach and I are not allowed to give spoilers until a certain time. But Danielle Musselman gave a spoiler and no one cared. So I think if you gave a spoiler, I don't think the audience would mind.
Nope,
so I think there's an immunity here.
There could be, but I'm not. That show has got too many to bring up. I mean, I'm just telling you, watch it. You can't predict some of the stuff that comes in that. Am I wrong, Zach?
It is something else.
How many times did you yell at the television during the 9th episode?
A couple, at least.
I
tried not to because you told me I was gonna.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was one of the most painful. It was just get off the phone.
Oh, it was excruciating.
Stop talking.
It was excruciating.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it was like watching Argo for like 2 straight hours.
Yes.
With the phone and all that, and I just don't get on that plane. What are you doing? Yeah, I was literally talking to the screen like it could hear me.
Yeah.
And I tried not to because you told me I was gonna.
Yeah, I know, and it's hard not to. So I finished Breaking Bad, I finished Ozark, and I finished You. What's next?
Well, I told you I think you need a break, man. I'm afraid you're getting down some dark rabbit holes here.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to keep going, you need to just go straight to Dexter. I mean,
Dexter, okay.
Dexter. You need to go to Dexter because that's a serial killer killing serial killers. I mean, it's killing on top of killing. So
okay.
I'm convinced you need a break. You need a comedy break. You need Arrested Development. You need Blackish. You need the Goldbergs. You need something that's a little more lighthearted, or you might not come out on the other side of this.
Apparently, in the last 10 years since I stopped watching television, there's been some decent shows that have come out.
Yeah, it's
been pretty weird.
Well, it's replaced going to the theater. I'm telling you, I was just thinking back the other day about how I've always had this great debate with people about whether 85, 86, or 87 was the best year of movies. And you go back and you look, and we just don't have that many anymore, but we've got great TV, and we got great streaming, and I think people have replaced it with that. But I'm kind of like you. I went through an 11-year period there where I didn't have cable, so I missed a ton of good stuff. And then I went back and caught up on all of it, and then I got stymied, so I had to start watching new stuff. But man, you still got a lot of good stuff to go through. But I want to get you. I want to get you on the wire. I know that's one you got to see. I put that up there toward the top, and I'd point you toward The Wire probably before Better Call Saul.
Okay.
We're talking with Mike Neighbors here on Ruskin and Zach. Yeah, I mean, all the movies now, Coach, are just these big, tent pole, blockbuster movies, and then the smaller movies that used to be, not as summer blockbuster type. Now those are being made into television shows.
Sure. Yeah, and you could, back in the day, you'd go see the blockbuster on Friday, and you go see something else that Saturday night, or maybe in the middle of the week or something during the summers. And man, you'd come across some great movies that you would have never seen before. If you hadn't have seen those, because you wanted. That was what we did. We went to the movie theater some. So I think we've missed out on some of that. And then I think streaming brings it right to your front door so easily that we missed some of the good movies. But I do think you're right. I think a lot of the writers are going toward that long form, that strung out format where they really extend that story.
Coach, the suits say we're obligated to talk about sports, and really we don't want to.
Okay.
But I do want to ask you about the North Korean Basketball Association and the rules that they came out with. I sent you the article. I was just curious if this is something that the NCAA would actually consider maybe implementing some of these things, because I think it would make the game a little bit more interesting.
Well, I'm all for doing all of them before we lower the goal. Everybody said, let's just lower the goal. I don't want to do that. I like all the rules you brought up. I like the minus points for free throws.
For free throws, right?
Yeah, I really like that one. The only one I can't really get behind, 3 points for dunks. I got no problem with that.
Okay.
I do like 4 points for a swish, although if we have a free throw shooting contest called Swish, and we get in some of the biggest arguments on whether the ball hit the rim or not.
This is ripe for corruption.
That's exactly. Well, it's North Korea.
Right for corruption.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was fitting that the free throws were minus points because nothing's free in Korea. That's kind of the way I put it. Nothing's free in North Korea, so I guess that rule fits. But I'm going to tell you, I can't get behind the 8 points per basket for any basket in the last 2 minutes. I mean, you could be up 24 points and lose if you go on a cold streak.
Yep. Yeah, that's going to be tough.
Maybe cut that and maybe go to 5 before we went straight to 8. But you have now, and I don't know what, you must have been really bored to have come across that. But thank you for bringing it to my attention because now it's got me thinking, like, I would like to give bonus points. Like, if everybody on your roster scored. Like, if you got 10 people and everybody scores, you should get some bonus points.
Yeah. You play everybody, they score. Yes.
Yeah. Then you'd be looking for certain kids, like, hey, we're going to get a 10-point bonus. We're down 8, but if so-and-so gets the shot, I don't know. I think there could be some fun strategy. We are going to take you turning me on to that, and whoever developed the rules over there, not sure we'll give them credit or not, but we're going to turn some drills. We're going to turn some drills this year, and we're going to have you guys out there the day we do it. My kids, if they're listening, they're going to be fired up because they know I love to make up drills.
Yeah. As soon as we're allowed to be in the building and don't have to, submit a blood sample, we'll be happy to come. We were going to come down there to ref a practice before the pandemic.
That was the day of.
That was the day of it. That was that Thursday. Y'all remember because we had that inter squad scrimmage, and then we were going to watch our men play, and that was the day that it all went down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's crazy to go back and think of. But yeah, when the time comes, we'll give you full credit. We'll call it. We'll name it appropriately.
It makes you wonder about what happens to these official scores because there's probably a lot of disputes at the table about. Well, that wasn't a swish. It looked like a swish to me. I mean, they probably go through a lot of.
Then during a TV timeout, the score disappears.
A lot of older guys in referee shirts there with the pencil at the scores table. I mean, that's a tough job over there.
All right, Coach. We have been planning for the better part of a year to talk about the Mena Airport. Now, I turned you on to the book when Money Grew on Trees, the story of the bootlegging going down in Booker County down there. You have an interesting tie to the Mena Airport.
Yeah. I made a close friend in 9th grade. I had to guard this guy from Mena in our basketball games, and we got to actually be pretty good friends to guard each other. His name's P.T. Plunkett. I've talked about him before. And we got to be not only competitors, but we became close friends to the point that summer of '86, I spent about 3.5 weeks down there. His mother and father were like a second mom and dad to me, and PT was like a brother around my age that I never really had. He ended up living with me through college in Greenwood when we were going to Ozark, and then in college too. But anyway, the summer of '86 in Mena, we did a lot with. That was the year Brady Steele got killed. That was the year he went, and we were certain that we had seen him at Shelton's Conan Q one day. Like we were like, that's him. I know that's him. And then that just morphed in. We thought we saw Oliver North one night at the Fishnet. I don't know if you ever ate Fishnet down in Potter, but best hush puppies in the world. But we just kept in our heads building up that Mena was this epicenter of the drug cartel and the funding of the Contras in Nicaragua and all the trials that were going on. Now, I don't know how much of it was actual or how much it was in our heads of a couple of high school seniors to be, but we sure had a lot of fun with it.
You didn't notice all the banks that had popped up?
Oh, no. Not only that, but the movie theater, I remember telling PT, I was like, it was almost like a Breaking Bad moment, Zach. It was like they're laundering money through here because they don't care. Like we'd go up and get popcorn, be like $1, with free refills. It was like they were trying to lose money. I remember we were talking about this the other day. I remember going to see Ferris Bueller's Day Off down there. That was the first movie we saw in that theater down there. It was in June of '86. And I'm telling you, I think the Contras were maybe not the movie theater, but yeah, there were banks everywhere. And of course the C-130s were still flying in and out of there, supposedly coming in to get painted, was the cover story. But, we've built it up in our heads enough to make ourselves feel like we were living part of history down there, in Mena that summer.
That's awesome.
All right. So let's go ahead.
No, I'm just saying now you go back and you see the movies and you're like, I told you that was him. I told you he came back. He had money hidden down here on Rich Mountain somewhere, and we were, we were going to go try to find it before he did. But it's fun to go back and look at those times and now see it in retrospect for sure.
Now, you and I were in school at roughly the same time, and when you read the book When Money Grew on Trees, there are places in there that you talk about which were like the epicenters for sort of the nefarious activity. Places like LJ's, which is no longer in business. There's a scene in Tremors. There's another scene out with Club West, which was out on 62. I mean, these are all places that we were not allowed into, but we sure knew about them. Yeah.
Well, you called it Club West. I called it Club Death.
Yes, I saw a guy get stabbed in the head out there.
Well, it was the only place they checked you at the door for guns and knives, and if you didn't have one, they gave you one, so you'd have a chance. They armed. If you were willing to come in, they'd give you one, so you had a chance. We would always go there after docks every now and then, but you had to be running with a pretty rough crowd. But that was kind of for the older adults. But no, there's a lot of I would love to go back and know what I know now back then and just live it from a different perspective.
Did you ever figure out why they let Docks and River City out at the same time?
No, it was a terrible plan.
It was awful.
Terrible. I mean, it was
stupid.
I mean, I also think it's exactly why they put the EMS center right there in between them. Because
exactly.
Come on over.
It's like, just come over here. Because everybody wound up behind the rocket lube. The fights always happen in the rocket lube right across the street.
There are Wilson Park. We got to where Wilson Park would be. We always seem to reach an understanding with the rock side and the countryside within Docks.
Right, that was another stupid concept.
See, I was okay with it because we worked a deal out. I guess it was kind of like, you stay on your side until 2:00 or 1:30, and you stay on your side. And then after that, just figure it out. Let's all go home happy. But it was River City that was the problem because it was such a different crowd.
Yeah.
And the shared parking lots and the crossing of the street, and then a
lot of jean shorts over at River City. A lot of jorts and bad shirts.
Lots of jorts. Yeah, jorts and cowboy hats did not mix.
No.
But then the Taco Bell drive-through was always it was a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
for sure,
and when you finished with Taco Bell, you went across the street to the Dome if they were still open.
I've never heard of that place. I don't know what you're talking about.
Mike Neighbors is with us here on Ruskin and Zach. Have you seen any of this new Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix?
I've seen it go across, but I haven't started watching them yet. I'm a little bit afraid to. I did start the Jeffrey Epstein deal, so I have not started. Should I give it a try or two?
I've seen two of them, and here's the endorsement for me. My wife hates watching them before bed, so that must mean they're pretty good.
Yep.
So the first one is a guy. I mean, it's just people that are dead and nobody knows what happened to them. But it's
really
fascinating. Yeah. Yeah, and the way
true stories, unsolved type deals.
Yeah. Okay. They get most of the and they do a great job of introducing like a new clue, and then they'll talk about that for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then they'll introduce another clue that like advances it for you. You're like, they do a good job, and of course you end up thinking that the guy that won't be interviewed is the guy that killed him. That's what you end up thinking. It's pretty guilty. So. It's good stuff.
Yeah, well, that sounds like something up my alley. I'll need to watch that before. I tell you what, all this, being home and not doing any traveling, not being on airplanes, not being in hotel rooms, has really cut into the watching of some of those types of shows. I'm staying pretty main. I'm watching Yellowstone. I finished Ozark. I'm staying with the mainstream stuff, but the stuff that I get to because I can't sleep or because I had an early flight or whatever. Those are the ones I've missed out on here the last 2 or 3 months. So there's going to be some catching up to do.
Coach, we're getting a question about a sports-based Netflix series. Kristen Harrison wants to know what your favorite is.
Sports-based. Netflix series. Wow. Well, we watched the All-American. I don't know if that counts. A bunch of my players and recruits have been talking about that TV series about it's kind of like 90210 meets football. We watched that one. I don't know if that's probably what they're talking about. Oh, of course. Well, Last Dance was ESPN, I guess. It's on Netflix now, though.
Right.
I saw. Boy, I don't know. He's got me stumped. I don't usually turn to Netflix for the sports stuff. But there's probably something I'm missing. Sorry.
How bad do you miss Fuzzies?
I don't miss the wait. I miss the burger. I miss the onion rings. I miss it on game day. I used to think that was one of the best places to go before.
It's now an intersection. That's what it's an intersection now.
Yeah. Well, and was that College Park? Is that what that place is called?
Cardboard Park.
So, yeah, Cardboard Park. When that opened up, that was to me kind of the end of Fuzzies. It stopped being like the spot that we went to a lot. So I'm gonna tell you what I miss more than anything is Goldie's.
Oh the pickle bar.
I'm that and the salsa and Doug was so nice, and I thought the burgers were great. But the salsa bar and the pickle bar, I miss Goldie's as much as I do any burger joint for sure.
Allegedly, and we asked him about this and he denied it, but we've got witnesses. Scott Hastings allegedly jumped off the roof at Cardboard Park into the pool.
Really? I could see him doing that. He was athletic, and he had a little brave streak in him. That's for sure. I can see him doing that. He had that type of skill.
Hey, we've got a text out of the 479. They want to know what you think about Jamie Dutton from Yellowstone.
Isn't he from Arkansas? I'm almost sure he went to Mountain Home High School. Check me on that. I think he's from Arkansas.
We're checking it now.
I think he overacts the part in the first two seasons. But I think he's kind of coming around here in season 3 now that he's been elevated to a little bit higher power. But I would tell you he is the least favorite of the siblings for me. Beth is by far the number one, then Casey, and then Jamie. But I don't know. Somebody told me he was from Arkansas. I may be wrong about that.
Good call. He was born in Jonesboro and grew up in Little Rock.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
I've got a new list for you.
Great. I'm looking for one. Good.
Most overacted line in Hollywood history. I believe that it is Tom Skerritt in Top Gun when he says, "Goose is dead." Maverick was there. He knows.
Yeah. I think it's in that movie, but I hate the teeth chomp scene when Ice chomps his teeth at Mav.
Yep.
And he says, "Yeah, that's right. I am dangerous." And he just chomps his teeth. I've never understood that one.
Yeah,
I think Tom Hanks has got a couple of them. As much as I love A Few Good Men, my favorite movie of all time, You're a Lousy Softball Player, Jack. That just seemed they could have done without that line. But those have got to be up there. But no, I think you're right. That Tom Skerritt has got to be considered. I'll go to work on that and see what I can come up with.
Fantastic.
Okay, that's good.
I'm being told there is a Goldie's in Oklahoma.
Yeah, it was a small chain, I thought.
Road trip.
Like 3 or 4 or 5. Like not a giant chain, but I thought it was like Charlie's Chicken. That's a smaller chain.
We can make that happen.
I miss Charlie's Chicken, Coach. I don't know about you.
Well, the guy that ran it, the one here was different than all the other ones. I've tried the other Charlie's Chickens around. They put, I don't know if it was, I just don't know. They may have put some in those mashed potatoes to get us coming back, but there was something about those mashed potatoes that were just a little bit different than anywhere else. So, but no, the chicken chunk, 3 chicken chunks and 2 sides, that was for $5 about as good as you could do right there on the corner.
I lived on that in the mid to late 2000s. I lived on that meal. Mike Neighbors, coach of the Razorbacks. Thanks as always. Have a good weekend.
Of course, boys. Thank you.
Mike Neighbors and all our guests join us here on the Williams Tractor Hotline on Ruskin and Zach.
That's maybe the most informative segment we've done this week.
We'll give you a few characters there. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Whole bunch of stuff right there.